What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about Faraday Future. I want to give you a quick overview of some of the current data points, what just came out from the company itself, as well what is coming next week. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Faraday did go down 4.55% on Friday. A fair amount of volume, so 29.7 million shares were traded. 28.1 is the average. Regrettably, a lot of the volume being done is just algorithmic trading, swing traders, not institutions getting in on the long. So kind of sucks, but I guess we can kind of anticipate that. Of course, there hasn't been any recent SEC filings, as you can kind of see right here. So the last one was done on April the 15th. But on Friday, right here, there was a PR that was submitted at 7:48. So after hours on Friday, that's always immediately a red flag. But it does say Faraday Future received letter from NASDAQ regarding Form 10K filing. So ultimately, NASDAQ is giving them 180 days to rectify this deficiency. So they do have to submit their 10K. And it looks like 5 days after April the 18th, they're going to be listed on NASDAQ's website as non-compliant. But going back over to the SEC filings, you can kind of see right here on April the 2nd, Faraday already came out saying that they're going to be late in filing it and that it will be done in April. So in my opinion, I think this is just more of a formality and nothing really crazy to worry about. That's just my own opinion. And of course, for me to say something isn't of worry with Faraday, obviously that's legitimate, right? Because over the last several videos, I have been very bearish on Faraday. I don't know if you guys could tell or not, but I think one thing that I've been really calling for is them to get delisted due to that 10-cent bid price rule. And oddly, I don't know why, maybe I just jinx it, and maybe me even doing this video, I'm kind of jinxing it. But if you can zoom out over this last little bit, so they were, what is it, 6 consecutive days below that 10-cent mark, and then you had a abnormal spike. There was no news to justify this right here. And like I've already pointed out, there is a lot of warrants that have not been exercised by the toxic lenders. So what they do, they exercise the warrants and then they just dump them. So ultimately that's what happens. So these spikes don't last very long, but they are enough to kind of reset that whole 10-cent bid price rule, because again, as I've said in the past, a company does need to trade below 10 cents for 10 consecutive trading days. And then once that does happen, they are kicked off the NASDAQ. So this is why this spike right here was the saving grace, and that happened March the 21st. And then you can kind of see it was going on a very consistent, once again, trend below 10 cents, starting, looks like right on here. So March the 27th, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then ultimately, or actually 8, and then you had this spike right here. There was news that did come out on the 9th, and that's just them saying that they are looking for potential partners, possibly from the Middle East. So obviously just laying that foundation of optimism, so that's what gave it a nice little spike up again, resetting it. So as it stands, we are 8 consecutive trading days below 10 cents. Obviously, a lot of broader fears that's really pushing Faraday lower, but we'll be very interesting to see either on Monday or Tuesday, because essentially Tuesday is the 10th day. So if there is any unexercised warrants, you are going to see it being done either Monday or Tuesday. So if you are a betting individual, then maybe you could get in, because essentially whoever is out there will want Faraday to be above 10 cents to thus again reset the whole technicals or reset the 10-cent bid price rule. So yeah, next week will be a very interesting week. It's either going to be a very big spike, almost a 100% spike, or ultimately by Tuesday, if it's still not over that 10 cents, then the NASDAQ is going to kick them off. So going back to this news right here, yes, this is the least of their worries about them filing the 10K, and probably Faraday already is well aware that they are kind of royally fucked. Pardon my French, of course. So I think all in all, not necessarily the best kind of scenario. So we'll wait and see on Tuesday just to see if there is once again life in Faraday, whether it just be temporary or not, or if they get delisted. So next week is going to be a very big week for Faraday. And I did do recently a video under my other channel, Financial Journey, on the top 5 most heavily shorted EV stocks. And Faraday is number 2. 28.4% of the free float is being shorted. Utilization is 97.46. And then cost to borrow average is 15.73. And just briefly looking over here, shorts did return about 1.1 million on Friday. So kind of interesting stuff. So let let me know your thoughts on Faraday. As far as options, very little to talk on. In fact, there's no real benefit to talk on this. Like, this is $415, not even thousand, not even million, just $415. This one is $962. So clearly just retail doing their thing. 68% of all the options being done was bearish. So still not really much information to really analyze. Like I already said, big money's not really buying. These are some of the transactions that did occur in the secondary market and even on the dark pool. So dark pool is absolutely nil. And so yeah, a very, very weird scenario. Well, not weird, but I think just a lot of people have already checked out of Faraday, and I did point this out. There was massive dumps that did happen. Right here was one of them in September, and I think right here was another one, I believe. But ultimately, like, it's just a very crappy scenario. And warrants, as I've said in my last video, Faraday, their warrants single-handedly destroyed Faraday. So you can kind of see these abnormal spikes that have happened numerous times right here, and a lot of that has absolutely no news to justify that. That is simply warrants being exercised, again, just for the purposes of the toxic lenders. That way they can get their money and dump it on the open market. Retail is going to be left holding the bag, and this is why I've been saying for a very long time now that this is like the writing on the wall is there, and this is just going to be, it's horrific, unfortunately. So with that said though, if you somehow are looking at trading Faraday with it around 5.8 cents, it is between this S3 and this S2. So 6.8 is going to be the next strong resistance, and then 5.5. So it did bounce off of that general area, but 5.5 cents is going to be the next strong support. Keep in mind, like I said, there's going to be a lot of activity next week. Either there's going to be a spike, 100% spike, or it's either delisted. So we'll just have to wait and see what does happen. But again, if you are one of those betting individuals, then yeah, it could be very interesting ultimately going into next week. Lower percentile, the Bollinger Band, you do see it very oversold as well. And despite its massive oversold status, which right now it is at 0.8. So I have never seen stochastic that low on any stock or any asset ever. So that's crazy. But despite that massive, insanely oversold status, there is also a very bearish deviation. Number of retail investors oddly were getting in on Friday, so I don't know once again if they are anticipating a spike up in the next couple of days or if they just like the discount. I'm not really sure. So let me know your thoughts on Faraday. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been bold enough to buy? And if so, why? Are you just trying to average down, or are you maybe anticipating that Faraday is going to flourish and succeed in the OTC market? What's your thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing, make sure you guys definitely take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 7 fractional shares of the Mag 7. So overall, a $35 total value, pretty good return on investment for just throwing $100 at an account. Link in the description below and also comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.